They're like anybody but the insurgent wing, okay? Anybody but the anti-Israel guys, anybody but the anti-corporate finance guys, anybody but the people that will center the working class in their policies, in their legislative agenda, in their ideology, okay? You are official. Now, la presse is afraid of Hassan. This is a article. Hassan, the name Hassan circulated widely after the 2024 presidential election among the Democrats who wondered why the American left didn't have his own Joe Rogan, a hugely popular podcaster. Senate GOP using you to attack Plattner? Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm a Pills Mafia, so I don't know why they're doing that. I'm actually pretty devastated. Rogan had contributed to the Donald Trump victory by rallying their young people, some more politically engaged than others, to his cause. Some Democrats have therefore seen a left-leaning Joe Rogan in SMPK, his live streaming channel now boasts the 3 million subscribers. Aged 34 and based in Los Angeles, Picard doesn't cast his net as wide as Rogan, limiting most of his appearances to politics. But the tireless influencer reaches a young audience that isn't enthusiastic about Barack Obama's party. This is the one accent that is a tragedy. Please stop. You're hurting people. Why? What do you mean? Why are you shitting on the authentic Quebecois accent? No gaming, called out, limited reach. Yeah. Is le tabarnak, is le Quebecois accent. Okay. On has made his mission to help the cause of certain Democratic candidates in the run-up to the midterm elections in November. The question now is whether his presence alongside these candidates will contribute to the success or the failure of the Democratic Party. Anger incarnate. His outburst against Barack Obama gives an idea of his style. During an interview with the host of The Late Show, Stephen Colbert, which aired last Tuesday, the former president discussed his wishes regarding the Republican Party. When I was president, people would ask me, what changes would you like to see in Washington? I would answer,
and pussy too.
I would like to have a loyal opposition. I would like the Republican Party that is conservative on some issues, that doesn't agree with me on a lot. Bro, practice with Obama. Okay, I'm not good at it though. I tried. I didn't practice at all. You can probably tell my accent is dog shit. I'm sorry. Okay, I should have been practicing off stream. I should have been practicing my Obama off stream, but I didn't, and that's why it's doo doo. Okay. Anyway, believes in the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and empirical data and science that doesn't constantly strip the worst in us. The following day, Hassan Piker responded to Barack Obama to I don't want a Republican Party. I want an ineffective, weak, and inept Republican Party, like the Democratic Party is today. I want a Republican Party so thoroughly dominated and publicly humiliated that people would be ashamed to admit they vote Republican. There's no doubt that Hassan Piker expresses the anger of many Democrats, progressives, or leftists. Accused of anti-Semitism. It also embodies another reality, hostility towards Israel. This sentiment is increasingly widespread among Democrats. No less than 60% of American voters, including 80% of Democrats, have an unfavorable opinion of the Jewish state, according to the Pew Research Center poll published early April. However, in Hassan Piker's case, this sentiment stems from an anti-Semitism reflected. Wait, what? This sincerely wrote, no, in Piker's case, he's actually a Jew hater. That's crazy. The normal way to write articles like this is to basically state, not outright that I'm anti-Semitic, but I'm receiving accusations of anti-Semitism. Usually people don't just straight up do that unless it's an opinion editorial. I don't know. Is this an op-ed? Oh, he says, according to his critics. Never mind. I didn't finish the sentence. I got so mad. The influencer often complains about being quoted out of context, but he is indeed referred to Orthodox Jews inbred, describe Hamas 1,000 times better than the fascist colonial apartheid state. He also stated that the rapes committed by Hamas during the October 7th massacre did not change the conviction that Israel perpetrated a genocide in the Gaza Strip. Okay, well, at least they put that in context. Hassan Piker denies being anti-Semitic. Amongst defenders like Ezra Klein, an influential Jewish columnist and podcaster for the New York Times, who cited in a recent article influencers' denunciations of anti-Semitism support for Bernie Sanders and John Ossoff, two Jewish senators, an unusual form of Jew hatred. to denounce anti-Semitism and promote Jewish Americans to the presidency, wrote the Times journalist, a red line. But Democratic elected officials and allied organizations remain steadfast. According to them, Democrats should avoid legitimization of Hassan Piker, whose controversial views are not limited to Jews or Israel. The influencer notably stated in 2019 that America got what it deserved on 9/11. No, that's not what I said. Got what it deserved. They're making it seem more crazy. The Democratic Party must draw a red line. Hassan Piker and his anti-Semitic comrades have no place on our side, said Jonathan Cowan, Lily Cohen, president advisor of Century Group Third Way on Wall Street Journal. Did you know the PLO trained Quebecois nationalists in Lebanon? I did, actually. I did know that. So that's kind of messed up.
Jason, it's great to see you.
I mean, this is an article that was probably in French, all right, that they're translating. So that's probably the reason why it's like weirdly translated. Yeah, they urged elected officials, Democratic candidates to refuse to campaign alongside him. Backed by Bernie Sanders, Abdullah Sayed recently invited Hassan Piker to participate in his rallies. Republicans want him to win the Democratic primary on August 4th. They already have circulated a photo on 2-minute exchange of fist bump accompanied by the caption, America got what it deserved on 9/11. Yeah. What is this? You said that landlords don't pay their employees what they produce. What's your evidence? Is there studies that support your claim? Because companies like Ford, 85% of the revenue goes to their employees' salary. I mean, it sounds like an assumption, not a fact. My point is, I don't feel like all corporations are evil. I'm not against you. Landlords? Okay. Corporations aren't evil. I've said this over and over again. The Marxist perspective is not that corporations are evil. The Marxist perspective is that the concept of exploitation, the extraction of surplus labor value from the labor force, is known to the average person that likes corporations as like an extraction of profits. Okay, you get paid less than you actually put in to the job. That's it. That's known as profits. That's how a company maintains profitability. Okay, you think profit is good. But what is this? Hassan the Hunt, Timberwolves fans are going to need you to apologize for slander against our only Nas Reed. Oh no. Oh no, I'm not. I can't deal with NBA Twitter, dude. 2 new posts about Hamawi and Shoika. Yeah, we got one good poll, one bad poll. A really good internal for Hamawi. The Hasanabi bump is alive and well, very real. Okay. Hamawi, and I'm just joking. It's not me, obviously, but like Adam Hamawi went from being third place at like 5% to an internal poll, which is always going to obviously favor Hamawi, but an internal poll that shows him in the top. Hamawi for New Jersey is out with an internal poll that finds him leading New Jersey 12 splinter Democratic field with 90%, way up from the 5% he received in a prior unreleased poll conducted a month ago. A friendly super PAC spent $1 million in the interim. The New Jersey field's top 4 in the May 5-7 poll is Adam Hamawi at 19%, Sue Altman at 12%, Brad Cohen at 11%, Verlina Reynolds Jackson at 10%. I mean, Adam Hamawi obviously is a stud, and he's gotten tremendous endorsements, Bernie Sanders being one of them. So I do think that, what the, bro, I'm over here doing election analysis and this guy goes, fart of the year, please watch. It's like I literally have to laser in on chat all the time, and I see this and I have to watch now. What the do you mean fart of the year? No. How is she not laughing? This gotta be fake. That's gotta be fake. Bro, how is she not perishing? Oh, she steps out of the camera. That's crazy. Bro, that blew the horsey's tail away. Hello, Fox News. Yes, we are looking at farting horses. That's crazy. That's crazy. Chatter, you should spam another link about Honduras Gate while we're looking at farting horses. Eventually, I'll cover it. Stop spamming. Okay? Goddamn. That's crazy. We're doing real discourse right now, okay? To think that there's actually an FBI guy watching this. Yeah, to the FBI guy, I have to say this. Bro, you light a match in that area and it's exploding. Okay, you got mushroom clouds. Anyway, okay, let's get back to it. Anyway, that was the good news. Hamawi is doing really well. He deserves it. Absolute stud. You guys already know. I mean, he literally saved Tammy Duckworth's life. Like, can you be more of a stud? He throws his life on the line. He throws his body actively. He was a combat medic, and he on top of that throws his body in the crossfire. Okay, he's been to Gaza. He's worked in not one but 2 different the active genocide zones. Okay, he's incredible. And, you know, I'm obviously honored to endorse him. He's fantastic. And I'm glad that New Jersey 12 is seeing that as well. So that's the good poll. The bad poll is California's 11th congressional district jungle primary. Top 2 vote getters advance in November. You got Scott Wiener, who's lost a little bit of sauce. He went from 43 to like 38. Connie Chan has picked up some steam at 22%, and Shoykat Chakrabarti at 21% in third position, following Connie closely. Now, initially, some of the polls showed Shoykat having a much bigger bump, a much bigger lead on Connie, which was good. Because, like, the hope is at this point to have it go to the general and have Shoykat be the guy, and then the local organizations end up reluctantly endorsing him, even though he doesn't have any. A lot of the left has been like, nope, what you did to Dean Preston is unbelievable. We are always going to consider you to be a carpetbagger, an outsider, even though he's not. He is just as much from San Francisco as, like, you know, Scott Wiener is. Scott Wiener is just more involved in local politics because he's a recognizable figure in California politics in general. But what did he do? I mean, he's just rich. And the left in San Francisco understandably hate tech bros. And he's technically a rich tech bro. He's just a rich tech bro with he's a rich tech bro with very radical views. He is a rich tech bro with very radical views, but the local left organizations despise him because he's made local donations that are against the San Francisco left because a couple years prior, I don't know if you guys remember, but San Francisco had like a growing leftist movement, okay? Is he pro crypto and fintechs? No, he's not. He's not like that at all. Anyway, listen. He's up and now he's paying the price. Oh, East Bay elitist? Yeah, I hate this argument. He's up and he's paying the price. Okay, dude, then have a worse person overall as your congressional representative. Like, this is an unbelievably silly way to approach the issue. And luckily, I've talked to a lot of people in some of these movements, and you know, they don't have this like attitude of vindictiveness in general. That's what they think people grow. He undermined a DSA comptroller. No, it's not. No one gives a fuck about. Okay, yes, people do give a fuck about that because the entirety of the DSA San Francisco worked very hard on the Preston campaign, and he was great, to be fair. But in San Francisco, there's two things, okay, that people treat like the Sunni Shia split. I've talked about this before. The NIMBYism versus YIMBYism. Okay, you will never understand it. San Francisco is like its own internal local politics system where you're either a NIMBY or you're a YIMBY. It's the Bloods and Crips. It's the Sunni versus Shia. As a matter of fact, I think Pax Islamica could happen. The entire Ummah could unite before the NIMBYs and YIMBYs can arrive at like a reasonable conclusion on what to do with housing. Okay, and it's interesting because YIMBYism versus NIMBYism transcends beyond political ideology. People will tell you that that's not the case, but it absolutely is. NIMBYs, not in my backyard, can either be people who are very defensive about new development projects because they believe that there's already existing inventory and the goal should be the decommodification of housing, very leftist point of view, or they can be Steph Curry, who thinks if we build any sort of shelter, any sort of homeless shelter in our neighborhood, then poor drug addicts are going to be in our neighborhood and our property values are going to go down. So it's both ultra-left and ultra-right. Same with YIMBYs. Some YIMBYs are libertarians who think the only way to solve the housing crisis is by letting real estate developers basically build shanty towns on top of your head and charge you an arm and a leg, which is the ultra-right-wing YIMBY position. And then other YIMBYs are like, we have to literally build out a robust housing inventory to tackle the housing market prices, which is the urbanist, somewhat center-left position on the issue, which I also agree with. I don't have an issue with that sentiment. I do agree we need to build more housing. I, of course, want to build social housing, publicly funded housing. And sometimes I think the armchair urbanists get mad at me for that perspective, even though I'm unbelievably autistic about public transit and all the other that they care about. So they should love me. But the moment I bring up public housing, they go, wait a minute, that's communism. I don't know about that. Anyway, that's why I said it's like kind of kind of a wash on that. But ultimately, YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is religion in San Francisco, because San Francisco's housing market is dog shit, okay? And San Francisco has priced out so many people and pushed them away from San Francisco, people that have lived there for years and years, decades. And that's the reason why they're just very mad. See, San Francisco has no more room for housing, says East Bay elitist. Well, YIMBYs would disagree with you. They want to upzone, which NIMBYs would say will destroy the culture of San Francisco. Right? Anyway, wait, these people had no issues voting for Nancy Pelosi in every election? See, that's the other side of the story. Nancy Pelosi is a towering figure in American politics, and it's mostly liberal. San Francisco's actual voter base is not even leftist anyway. It's actually rich liberals. So if you have any sort of like crossover appeal with a guy like Shoykot, who is like getting flamed by the local left organizations, who actually has, in my opinion, really good national politics and would be a fantastic congressperson, one of the best congresspersons that we would have in this, incoming round in the midterms. He would be amazing. He'd be infinitely better than Scott Wiener and definitely better than Connie Chen as well. It's not SF County. It's the whole region law from Santa Cruz County to Sonoma County. San Francisco is one small part of the problem. I mean, it's also the most densely packed, the most populated part of the problem, right? In any case, yeah, San Francisco is literally the incubator of the titans of California politics, and it has always given us dog politicians, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, and Nancy Pelosi. Okay, these are all San Francisco politicians. We have an opportunity to change that. Okay, we have an opportunity to make a real national impact, but I can't get DSA and all the San Francisco leftists to listen to me. Even fans of mine that are, normally very open-minded to the things I have to say. And Dianne Feinstein, that too. Oh, my God. So YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is a framing and view. I detest the false dichotomy. You and the Democratic Party paint in blue city states. There's not a real question of development because they only care to ask what developers get paid. There's no YIMBYism with privatized options to direct pay out the rich people to run slums. See, look. You can be a lifelong fan like Nasty Chasty, 41-month subscriber. The moment that I bring up the distinctions between YIMBYism and NIMBYism, I don't even like establish a position, right? I say the downsides of both, okay? Immediately, this guy goes, I want to kill you. I want to kill you with a gun. Okay? How dare you paint this dichotomy, you piece of YIMBYism versus NIMBYism is a framing. Fuck that. And you. Do you understand? It's actually insane. Like most normal people, when they encounter this concept, they lose their minds. It's an issue that's very near and dear to many San Francisco people, okay? And I understand it because the San Francisco housing market is life or death. You did not disavow, see? That's why. I have to like disavow NIMBYism or YIMBYism, one of the two. Do you disagree? Oh, real cute, putting death threats in my mouth now. How hypocritical. Man, I'm joking. Calm down. You're the one who's freaking out. I'm the one who's fucking joking. You're literally proving the joke that I was making. Be a little bit more lighthearted, please. Jesus Christ, chatter. Calm down. I'm gonna take you off the screen because I don't want people to fucking yell at you either. Calm down, man. Chill out. I guess you weren't joking. This is life or death for these people. Yes, they take this shit to the death. Like this is a core part of the politics of San Francisco. They lose their fucking minds when you bring it up. Even if you don't assume a position, even if you say here are the downsides and upsides of both ideologies, here's how both of these movements can be both right-wing and left-wing. Even if you're just descriptive, they go, nope, you have to disavow whichever one it is. Brazen Truanon said he doesn't even recognize the San Francisco he grew up in anymore. So much displacement and gentrification. Exactly. That is absolutely true. Like, the San Francisco left also despises, understandably, a lot of the tech companies as well, where they're just like, I mean, I would too, but in many respects, it's been, obviously a massive fucking revenue boon for the entire state. So it's like unshakable. Their dominance in the city is untouchable, unfortunately, and they're doing a metric ton of evil as well. In any case, that's a big part of the reason why people fucking hate Shoykot. on the San Francisco left, because he's funded a lot of candidates that are in the national front. Obviously, he's funded a lot of candidates that are unbelievably left, but in San Francisco, he's funded due to, I guess, NIMBYism, YIMBYism distinctions, funded candidates that subscribe to his housing policies closer. I don't know why the fuck he's done it. I don't really care that much, to be honest, but people do. And that's the reason why they're like, no, we'd rather vote for Connie Chen, even though Connie Chen is like a pretty cookie cutter, inoffensive, somewhat progressive Mallory McMorrow style candidate in this particular race. Perhaps a little bit more trustworthy than Mallory McMorrow is. I'll say that. But like, I mean, there's a reason why Adam Schiff has also endorsed Connie Chen, right? And Nancy Pelosi is entertaining an endorsement of Connie Chen. With Nancy Pelosi, it's a little bit more personal. I think she just despises Scott Wiener because Scott Wiener has been very ambitious and has entertained potentially taking over Nancy Pelosi's seat while Nancy Pelosi was still in the seat. So I think she just holds a personal grudge against Scott Wiener. But yes, Wiener, lol, I know. God damn it, dude. Y'all are fucking babies. I swear to God, we can't have a normal conversation at all. But that's just the situation in San Francisco. I really like Shoykot as a national politician. I can't speak to his donations at the local level. It's kind of weird that people don't look at the policy at all. They just think that it's like, Shoykot is like fake radical, I guess, but he's been fake radical since 2015 or 2014, if that's the case, right? And they also despise the fact that he's like, he's a rich guy coming into the race and like funding his own campaign. He spent a shit ton of money on his own campaign. But obviously, just spending a shit ton of money on your campaign doesn't necessarily matter for a lot of people. And now CNN is writing about him too. CNN is, and it's not just CNN, it's Edward Isaac Dover. This is the anti-Bernie hit job guy, okay? Edward Isaac Dover is an op of not only myself, but the entire leftist movement. And they're sending out heavy hitters. This is like CNN's hatchet guy against the left. So when he's in the cut, just understand that there are a lot of people in corporate media that are paying close attention to a lot of these primary races because they want to make sure that the Democratic Party doesn't become a left party in any way, shape, or form. That's precisely what's going on here. Okay, David Dayan, my goat from The Prospect, writes, I was in San Francisco a couple weeks ago covering one of the more fascinating House races in the country, CA11, held by retiring Nancy Pelosi. The race is a simple narrative, but the reality is more complex. The frontrunner, Scott Wiener, gets pigeonholed as an abundance centrist for his work on housing, but he contains multitudes fighting power in tech and healthcare while benefiting from wealthy super PACs. Okay, this is the top line, and we can go through it piece by piece. Wiener and former AOC Chief of Staff Shoykot Chakrabarti are the only two who get noticed in national stories, but a third candidate has most local and labor endorsement as an outlined path to make the runoff. San Francisco Supervisor Connie Chen. San Francisco Supervisor Connie Chen was literally brought in to this race by the local left. Okay, that's the reason why they're so mad that I'm backing Shoykot, even though I'm obviously unbelievably aligned with all the fucking labor unions and, DSA San Francisco. And they are all, some of them are, in this community right now, probably frustrated, white knuckling through this process because on the one hand, they're like, I've been watching you and supporting you for 10 years. But also on the other hand, I really despise the tech CEOs and you are actively trying to get me to vote for a tech a tech guy, not a CEO, but like a centimillionaire tech guy. How dare you fucking do this? So they're going to ban you from the city? Yeah, sure. It won't be the first city that I get banned from. All right. Chakrabarti has inspired a lot of grassroots volunteers knocking on 364,000 doors already. And he's trying to inspire a new kind of politics, but there's a bit of a style dynamic here. Shoykot is self-funding. I've thought about this quite a bit. On the one hand, it's ridiculous if you're Shoykot Chakrabarti and a centimillionaire and you don't self-fund your campaign. But I think self-funding your campaign makes voters... It's off-putting to voters, I think. Like, I genuinely think even if you're a centimillionaire, you should probably run a publicly funded campaign rather than self-funded because I think it's an automatic L. Voter perception is obviously really negative, especially in the Democratic primaries. I think voter perception is very negative on wealthy self-financed campaigns. Even Tom Steyer, I think, is having a really hard time with it. These guys are nowhere near Michael Bloomberg level, obviously. They might be even, I don't know who's wealthier, Bloomberg or Steyer. It doesn't really matter to me, but I'm saying like their policies couldn't be further apart from one another. But when you are trying to actively court the left and you're an incredibly wealthy person, I think it probably is better, even from a messaging side, for you to not self-finance your campaign, even if you have the money to self-finance it, because it kind of looks like you're just a rich guy who wants to make a name for themselves or something. On the Republican side, it makes sense. Hey, Hasanabi, unfollowing today. Kendrick is a colorist who supports white supremacy and supports Israel. That's corny. Wait, what? This guy, what? Kendrick is a colorist? Why are you, what? Anyway, the other side of this story is like, if you don't self-finance, then people are obviously going to say, or do the shady donation shit that everyone else does. When you're an actual leftist, being wealthy is a crime. Bloomberg is on the right, which is of course allowed. You just have to filter through shell companies or whatever. Yeah, I think if you self-finance openly like this, or if you don't self-finance, then people are going to say you're an incredibly rich guy. Why the fuck would you not self-finance, right? Like that's going to be the main point of contention. So I don't know what the best method is here, but I do think that this is frustrating. I do think that it's frustrating for a lot of folks. I mean, I myself, I've known Shoykot. I've known of Shoykot for a decade, right? He's worked with a lot of people that I also work with, that I care about. Like, I trust him. But even then, it was hard for me to get on board initially. I had to talk to a lot of people that have known him for years, right? To initially get on board with him, because, you know, he is a centimillionaire. He did work at Stripe. He was like one of the original engineers at Stripe, and he made a fuck ton of money off of that. And automatically, my first reaction to that is always, I don't know, is this guy legit? So I even understand that initial skepticism. In any case, I do think that his politics are far closer to mine than Connie Chen's are. That's it. In any other circumstance, I wouldn't even be paying attention to this race if it wasn't the fact that, you know, Shoykot Chakrabarti is involved, because I don't think Connie Chen has the juice to actually take on Scott Wiener in any way, shape, or form. And it's really funny because people will be like, "Whoa, Shoykot is an outsider." He's not, right? He's just a rich guy trying to buy his way into power. Okay, well, Scott Wiener is a fucking slave to corporations. Like, he literally is such an unbelievable, servile creature to corporate interests that the SEIU had to unendorse him because he couldn't even fucking get on board with taxing the billionaires, okay? The SEIU did a double endorsement here with Connie Chen and Scott Wiener. They had to take back their endorsement of Scott Wiener because he literally would not subscribe to the billionaire tax. That's it. So it's very frustrating. And Connie Chen is certainly a lot better than Scott Wiener on the issue of Israel, but still nowhere near as good as Shoykot is. Connie Chen is doing the same, like, oh, I'm actually very critical of Israel route that every other Democrat is currently trying to do. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's all she's doing. And it's enough, I guess, for a lot of people. And, you know, I agree with your criticisms against Scott Wiener, but Shoykot publicly supported a horrible Mayor Lurie. How could anyone call themselves progressive and support Daniel Lurie? Yeah, I don't know the level of his involvement in the Lurie campaign. I think you guys are, I think local politics is the reason why a lot of, like I said, San Francisco left is Daniel Lurie is a monster, by the way. But that's the major reasons. There's also a lot of misinformation about what he's done as well. Like, people go to like unbelievable lengths to just be like, this guy Shoykot is a fucking evil deity. But only sending one more time, not spamming New York Times investigation into Israel's influence over Eurovision for soft power. Yes, I know. I'm aware of this article. I saw it already. And it's also something that we've covered extensively on the broadcast, even before this article was written. So, yeah, I'll talk about that. So, I'm reluctantly rooting for Shoykot, but doesn't Shoykot deserve critique for this stuff too? It goes both ways. No, I agree. What do you mean? I'm telling you the process in which I work through my initial skepticism. I'm saying that these are understandable reasons to be skeptical. Okay. But if you look at his policy platform, it's the most comprehensive policy platform out of any national candidacy. Out of any national candidates that I've endorsed, he has the most comprehensive policy platform, partially because he literally has operated a fucking think tank for years that is like a left-wing, radical left-wing think tank that writes policy papers, including shit like the Green New Deal, okay? That's the reason why I'm saying like it's an unbelievable missed opportunity not to fucking try to get a guy like that in office. That's why it's so crazy. And I went through this process and like vetted him through a lot of people that have worked with him directly and indirectly before I even got on board with endorsing him. Like a lot more thorough with my background checks than any other candidate. You know, Oliver Larkin comes in and I'm like, you're great. I love what you have to say. Let's go. Because he has the organizational backing that I already appreciate. Same with Chris Rabb, right? Same with Hamawi. These are people that have like done things that I already know. They have the background that is trustworthy. Malak Kiros, great example, right? Whereas Shoykot has a lot of great things in his career that he's done, where he's aided and abetted the institutional left in many respects, but certainly not like aligned with the DSA in a lot of instances, even if he has endorsed and backed and promoted DSA candidates over and over again all around the country. Yo, I'm not huge on politics. The country gets too divided on it, but how much is it starting to cost to fill up my truck just to make it to and from work so I can pay my house payment is getting ridiculous? Yeah, brother. That's because Donald Trump decided to be a servile little dog to the nation state of Israel and fucking blow up an Iranian school and kill the entire leadership and triggered the events in motion that Iran understandably took action in retaliation and closed the Strait of Hormuz. So now the entire globe's energy markets are in a state of disarray. This isn't just Trump. He's just a symptom. Yes, Trump is a symptom of the problem for sure. But he also is unique in some ways in his spectacular fuck-ups. Let's be real. But now that you are paying attention, you're at the right place. This is where I explain to you exactly how these events came about. I try to do my very best to explain to you, how we arrived at Donald Trump and how we can fix the problem. Everybody starts doing politics all of a sudden when politics starts doing you. And politics is always doing you, even if you don't do politics. You just start recognizing that they're inserting it in when you go to the gas pump and you're like, why the fuck am I paying $500 to fill up a tank of gas? What the fuck is this shit? You feel me? Or that you were conned into buying the truck. Your figurehead on the new Pan-Africanism is deafening. Wait, what? Macron said, we are the true Pan-Africanists. We believe that Africa is a continent and that this continent has an enormous amount to build. It's the youngest in the world and therefore has an extraordinary demographic dividend. It's the one with the greatest. Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? I can't think of a worse person to say that than the French president, dude. That's insane. Saying that as French government leadership in Africa about the continent of Africa is insane. Like it's like, yeah, the Belgian king, second to the Belgian king coming out and being like, well, as the king of Belgium, I really believe that we will work tirelessly to develop Africa. We are the true Pan-Africanists. That movement is entirely that movement in large parts is about fighting against French control. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like the Clintons being like, we are the true liberators of Haiti. Yeah. Well, I'll do more. I'll get into this a little bit further, but I really obviously trust David Dane's work. He is a California guy, born and bred, and obviously he is the guy for policy at the American Prospect. So he wrote this like long 23-minute article. It's long and comprehensive, okay? And the top line is, he went to San Francisco to check out CA11. He gives a pretty solid, pretty honest shake, pretty fair shake to all the candidates. Talks about Wiener's work on housing legislation in California, who has won him support from the abundance faction that's often at odds with progressives, focused on the relentless influence of corporate power. But Wiener is also carrying one of the main bills in the state legislature this year to prevent anti-competitive conduct from big tech, passed legislation in 2024 to crack down on pharmacy benefit manager middlemen, and endorsed the bipartisan housing bill that some abundance types have opposed. He even expressed discomfort with investor purchase of housing. The more we move towards mass mega ownership, you really do get into situations where you have Wall Street pressures that end up screwing renters, Wiener says. The humanity is immediately stripped out. Most national commentary on the 11 candidate field has focused on Wiener and Shroykat Chakrabarti, the progressive co-founder of Justice Democrats, who wants to generate a bottom-up political revolution among a restless population is dissatisfied with the status quo. Yet Connie Chen, a San Francisco County supervisor, has picked up many of the state's and local endorsements you would expect from a progressive leader. California Teachers Association, National Nurses United, the State Working Families Party, San Francisco Labor Council, California Federation of Labor Unions, the Harvey Milk LGBT Democratic Club. She believes her focus on bread and butter issues and support among cities' large Asian American population can pay off. And while the race has been described as a test between experience and rhetoric, between workhorses and show horses, another factor is the obvious but too often overlooked question of big money. Wiener has cryptocurrency mogul running a super PAC on his behalf, and Chakrabarti is drawing on his own fortune gained from being an early career employer's Stripe. Sometimes in a brawl between the two flavors of big money, a less tainted challenger can sneak through. Much of Wiener's legislative record has been mainstream progressive stuff: public transit funding, criminal justice reform, public health access, immigration protections, phase out of single-use plastics, childcare expansion, caps on out-of-cost for insulin, bans on surprise ER billing, and a number of LGBT rights bills. He wrote the law requiring federal officers like ICE operating in the state to remove masks. When a judge tossed it out because it didn't also apply to the state officials at the request of Governor Gavin Newsom, Wiener reintroduced it with the state ban. Also, Scott Wiener, on the other hand, has been unbelievably pro-Israel. After October 7, he visited the state of Israel and went on stage with the president of the state of Israel, and has also written a bill that is anti-Palestinian advocacy in schools. Closer to home, Wiener has been enmeshed in a number of controversies involving big money. Labor union SEIU unendorsed him for his opposition to a local measure on the ballot in June called the overpaid CEO tax, which would increase taxes on businesses whose CEOs paid more than 100 times the median earnings for their employees. Fantastic. SEIU threw their endorsement to Chan. They had double endorsed Chan and Wiener, but they pulled the Wiener endorsement. So now Chan has the SEIU endorsement. Now, local labor union endorsements, they can be meaningful, but just remember, they also, in the case with Connie Chan, I think it's because they trust her more, okay? Oh my God, pulled the Wiener endorsement. Oh my God, pulled the Wiener. God damn it, dude. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm done. Hello. We can't keep doing this. Please stop. I shouldn't have started off with the fucking fart video. I set the stage for my own demise. Anyway, November arguing for a one-time tax on ongoing budget hole in this case created by the Trump administration cuts to Medicaid isn't practical. He's elsewhere endorsed taxing the rich by reversing the Bush and Trump tax cuts. Wiener has billionaires in his corner, including Trump donors. Chris Larson, CEO of blockchain company Ripple, a major Trump inauguration donor, has given $100,000 to an outside super PAC called Abundant Future, which has thus far spent about $500,000 attacking Chakrabarti. Y Combinator's Gary Tan is also a donor to that PAC. Chakrabarti has also highlighted dozens of corporate PACs who have donated to Wiener over his state legislative career. None of them have given to his congressional campaign, where Wiener is rejecting corporate PAC money. And some have criticized Chakrabarti for supporting tech-friendly moderates in San Francisco before running for office. In response, Wiener said that Chakrabarti listed about 30 corporate donations out of his 10,000 donors across campaigns of the last decade plus. You can go around when you have no track record and cherry-pick donations, he said. My lifetime Chamber of Commerce score is 16%. My lifetime California Labor Fed score is 97. My League of Conservation Voters score is 97 and 98%. I have one of the most pro-labor, pro-environment, pro-consumer records in the entire legislature. She also, going back to the situation between this is like obviously the super PAC dynamic at play here. And it is interesting that they don't hit Connie Chen. They hit fucking Chakrabarti quite a bit. Connie Chen gets very little negative ad spend right now. And all of these like billionaire backed corporate PACs and super PACs are fucking up Shoykat's ass. And yet the San Francisco left doesn't understand why they're doing that. If you find yourself in alignment because you don't trust Shroykat Chakrabarti, But when you find yourself in alignment with some of the worst villains that you fucking hate, and if those villains that you think Shoykat Chakrabarti is a part of are literally spending $500,000 on the guy to eviscerate his chances, maybe you understand that he might actually be a real one. Perhaps that's the reason why they're spending $500,000 in the primary already, okay? Judge me by my enemies doesn't just work for me. It works for the likes of Shoykat Chakrabarti as well, okay? So if you're a part of the institutional left in San Francisco, just pay a little bit of attention to the amount of money that Gary Tan and all these other guys that you think Shoykat Chakrabarti is a part of, this movement that he's a part of, why are they fucking up his ass? Okay, it's literally it's not dissimilar to Tom Steyer. Even Tom Steyer's a fucking billionaire and he's self-funding his goddamn campaign, and every single big money interest is attacking him. Think. I'm a serious person. I'm 42. Consider myself pretty mature, but I can't help myself but to laugh with that last name. No way. Okay. It's fine. Wiener and former AOC Chief of Staff Shoykat Chakrabarti are the only two who get noticed in national stories, but the third candidate has the most local and labor endorsements. We already covered that. So some see Chan as a more authentic voice in the cities left in the race. She also has mainstream support. Pelosi hasn't endorsed, but Senator Adam Schiff, a key Pelosi ally, has endorsed her. Pelosi's attended a bunch of her campaign stops, by the way. Pelosi has a personal distaste for Scott Wiener. She does not like Wiener because of what I just explained earlier. She has like a personal vendetta against Wiener because Wiener wanted to unseat Pelosi when she was in office, and I think that's carried over some resentment. But getting that message out takes money. As of most recent campaign finance disclosure, she's lagging far behind her opponents in fundraising. And while Labor and the Asian vote are strong factions, they are only fragments in the electorate. Can she succeed? That's the reason why they hit me with the anti-Asian ray. Okay, that's why. Remember when I, for the first time ever, received a line of attack that I have never received before? RNC went in, dug up clips from like 2020 when I was shitting on some pro-Trump old Vietnamese lady who was like, you have to vote for Donald Trump because Joe Biden is a communist and Donald Trump is an anti-communist. Okay. Shoykat is also Asian, but he's not, Connie Chen is from Hong Kong. Okay. But if you remember, San Francisco has a massive Asian community, a Chinese community specifically. You literally just went to the Gold Gala law. I know, which is why it's really funny. I've never heard the Hasana's anti-Asian attacks before in my entire life until this fucking San Francisco race, okay? The line of attack I usually receive is I'm too pro-China, which is actually in San Francisco one of the only places in the country where having a let's not wage war with China message is actually literally fucking seen as a positive. In every other district, you come across like a crazy person. What do you mean we shouldn't fucking nuke China? What the hell are you talking about? San Francisco is the one place where that message is actually a positive one, and they're still calling me anti-Asian, bro. Yeah, it's like saying I'm fucking Islamophobic. You know what I mean? It's like national media and the RNC coming out with attack ads saying that I'm fucking Islamophobic to make sure that like a Dearborn candidate that I'm endorsing doesn't fucking get the appropriate looks. Anyway, they do know Turkey is in Asia, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. That doesn't work that way. Okay, that's not a real thing. I'm not AAPI by American standards just because I'm fucking Turkish, okay? I'm white. Anyway, only in San Francisco someone like me can run for Congress, she insisted. We ran in 2020 and 2024, won both times, running against candidates supported by billionaires in the PACs. I have that same optimism and attitude. At the kickoff, she put it more clearly to the crowd. When you send Connie Chan to Congress, you're sending all working people. Chakrabarti has inspired a lot of grassroots volunteers, knocking on 364,000 doors already, and he's trying to inspire a new kind of politics, but there's a bit of a Steyer dynamic here. Shoykat is self-funding. For decades now, we basically have had this ideology running the country where profit alone drives the economy. We can't do anything about that. He told me on the sidelines of the canvassing kickoff. People keep voting for anybody running on sweeping economic change. They just know this is not cutting it. We need something dramatically different. Like everyone in the race, Chakrabarti wants to ameliorate the cost of living crisis and tackle official corruption in Washington and campaigns. They're just trying to buy votes to run our government, he said of super PACs tagging him. But his campaign is largely powered by his fortune made as a tech engineer. About 93% of his $5 million campaign haul is self-funded. Wiener, in our discussion, emphasized that public financing system for elections should include limits on, or bans on self-funding. I don't disagree, and I don't even think Shoykat would disagree. I mean, it's a really terrible system right now, right? Responded Chakrabarti, who mentioned that he has more individual small dollar donors on his campaign, about 10,000, than all of his opponents combined. I could either do the thing Scott Wiener is doing and spend a lot of time calling big donors for money, and frankly, they wouldn't donate to me because of my politics is going in there and taxing them and changing the party, or I can put my own money in, and then I do have the freedom to do things like talk about controlling AI and taking on the crypto industry. He said that he endorses full public financing of elections. 2 of the 3 will make the November runoff, so the primary won't settle in. The race is about offering something new to voters, delivering on promises, standing up for working people, and fighting control of politics by the wealthy and the powerful. And of course, the San Francisco left, which doesn't understand that their votes and their voices are marginal in the broader scheme of things, are not sold on Shoykat Chakrabarti because of his his local decisions that he's made. Okay. They're not looking at the broader picture. I'm sorry, that's just the way I see it. It's understandable to exercise a level of healthy skepticism towards Shoykat Chakrabarti, given his centimillionaire status, or even his previous endorsements or previous donations to local candidates. But the idea that you think he is not a real force for left, a positive change in the party, is unbelievably silly. And the reason why I say it's unbelievably silly is because I don't even have any smoke for Connie Chen, by the way. I want to make that very clear. I think Connie Chen is a very blanket, cookie cutter, center-left politician, okay? And the reason why I say this is because I judge her off of her decisions. Like I said, Israel is not the only thing that matters, obviously, despite what my naysayers might claim, but Israel's a very good litmus test. Okay. And it's clear that she does not have her own personal opinions on a lot of the things that she speaks on, and is simply speaking for what she thinks is the broadest subsect of voters. She has smoke for you, repeating attacks on you. I don't care. She's trying to win. She's trying to get to second place, chatter. That's the reason why she's doing that. Okay. That's why. Yes, she said I'm anti-Asian. It's ridiculous. She doesn't know who the fuck I am. Of course, she's going to literally take any opportunity she can to attack Shoykat, because right now the race is between Shoykat and Connie. They're trying to win the second place slot. Okay. Yes, that is indicative of what kind of politician she is. Certainly, she's the kind of politician, just like Mallory McMorrow, that will get those talking points and will go, great, I'll just repeat them verbatim. Okay. She's doing the McMorrow, but using anti-Asian instead of anti-Jewish, chat. Exactly. That's it. She has seen a line of attack. She doesn't think, she doesn't think anything of me. She doesn't know who I am. It's understandable. I don't expect her to know who the fuck I am, even though it does seem like there's a lot of people in California politics who do know who the fuck I am, apparently. I didn't even realize this until recently. But the reason why she's doing that is because she wants second place, and she knows, or she thinks, this is a good way to to eat away at Shoykat's chances, because her pathway to second place right now goes through the Asian vote in San Francisco. And in spite Shoykat also being Asian, it's the Chinese vote specifically, like the Chinese American vote. And that's the reason why she's going for personal attacks, because like, if you look at the policy prescriptions, if you look at like the motivating ideological foundations for these two different candidates, Shoykat Chakrabarti and Connie Chen, there is a clear distinction between them. That's why I'm choosing to endorse and back Shoykat Chakrabarti. I just noticed State Dem Party has your face on a dartboard given their behavior and fervor against you. I'm sure. I mean, it makes sense if your job is to preserve your control, your ideological control, and therefore corporate control over the party. I'm fucking public enemy number one. Of course I'm public enemy number one. Like, I'm going around the goddamn country trying to prop up insurgent campaigns in the Democratic Party primaries to try and forcibly change the fucking party's attitude towards placing the interests of profits over the interests of the population. So yeah, of course, people that want to keep their jobs, the consultant class that have made, unbelievable lumps of money by being this corporate backed, by delivering this corporate backed messaging over and over again, are doing everything in their power to stop the bleeding within the party. If it doesn't happen in this cycle, and it's only beginning in this cycle, it will certainly happen in the next, okay? And they know that. I know that. It's over. It's done. It will be done. There's a lot of institutional Dems that despise what I'm doing because it threatens their status. They either have to tell their donors to fuck off and completely reinvent themselves, which is going to make them look hypocritical in the short term, especially, and maybe even put them at odds, put them in contentious races unnecessarily. No one wants to fight a fucking primary battle before they get to the general against, like, you know, a Republican. Obviously, in San Francisco, there is no such thing. It doesn't matter. These are all just Democrats running, pretty much in the top with any viability. So anyway, that's what's going on here. Why didn't Shoykot do anything political earlier? See, this is what I mean. Look at this. Thank God y'all can't vote here. Why is Shoykot running here and not in LA? Make him your congressperson then. Shoykot's local political decisions have doomed him. It's political choices he made against local leftists here. Yeah, in spite of all of that, he's still actually defeating Connie Chen in second place. Why didn't Shoykot do anything political earlier is a stupid statement. I'm sorry, you're fucking stupid if you think that he hasn't done anything political earlier. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you think San Francisco is the only place in the United States of America? Is that what you think? The fuck are you talking about? He worked on the Bernie campaign. Then he was he started the Justice Democrats. And he literally was AOC's fucking campaign manager or chief of staff. Sorry. The fuck are you talking about? They co-authored the Green New Deal. What are you saying? Didn't do enough. The fuck were you doing in 2014, 2015, 2016? Jorking your fucking peanuts. That's what you were doing. The fuck? Don't ask someone from San Francisco those questions. I know San Francisco people understandably are thinking about it with just San Francisco in mind. Why didn't Shoykot work in local politics first is something that a lot of San Francisco people think, unfortunately. I know they do that. I know they think that. Well, Scott did. So go fucking vote for him then. Or vote for Connie, whatever. It's just, it's an understandable real grudge. You want to know why it's an understandable real grudge? And I have a lot of sympathy for it. Because the tech demons literally eviscerated the left movement that was building in San Francisco. There was a time when you had a pretty progressive there was a time when there was Dean Preston. There was an opportunity to actually elect left leaders in San Francisco, and an organized national media backed by all of these tech Silicon Valley demons destroyed it. And big tech completely owns San Francisco now. And they say, weirdly enough, they look at Shoykot and they go, well, he's a tech guy and he's a centimillionaire, so he's just the same guy. He's just like Gary Tan. He is a Y Combinator guy. He's even done podcasts with these fucking dipshits. And it's really interesting because those fucking demons are spending a good deal amount of money, a lot more money, trying to make sure Shoykot doesn't get to second place than they are on fucking Connie Chen. So you have to, at some point, realize maybe he's not like those guys, right? That's the point I'm making. Think. Why? Why are all the fucking tech bros attacking him endlessly? If he's a tech bro and he's just the same kind of demon as these other fucking tech bros, why are they spending millions of dollars by way of super PACs against him and not against Connie Chen? Think. Misdirection, duh. Yeah, okay. Think, Mark. Think. Look what they need to do to mimic a fraction of our power. Anyway, what will you do after 1,000 years? Anyway. Do you understand, though? Do you understand why I'm so fucking passionate about this? It's also really stupid when people are like, oh, Shoykot must be paying him. Bitch, I'm rich too. The fuck are you talking about? When have I ever taken any money from any political movement or any political group? I'm the one who funds them. Dumbass. The fuck? You take $6 from me every month? Yeah, I mean, obviously. The Hasanabi broadcast, the Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. This is where it, that's it. That's my only source of revenue. I'm a proud DSA member for Scott Wiener. Hashtag let 1,000 wieners bloom. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle is you know, Edward Isaac Dover, the anti-Bernie hitman, who also wrote a piece. Democrats' internal fight sway the race to succeed Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco. So there's this campaign is getting this race is getting more national attention now. The last time the city's voters had someone other than Nancy Pelosi represented in Congress, there were no self-driving taxis on the streets, no AI ads competing for space around the tie-dye shops in Haight Ashbury, the youngest San Franciscans could have voted then, are nearing retirement age now. I'm not sure what came first, Pelosi or San Francisco, California Governor Gavin Newsom said. Now, with just a few weeks to go in the first round of the race to replace Pelosi, an iconic center of liberalism, one that sits almost fully within one congressional district, is trying to figure out what comes next as the Democratic Party churns over what makes it progressive and what kind of fighters its base wants, how to tackle affordability, or even whether to use the word genocide about Gaza. Those fights are coming to a head in the city that Pelosi represented in the U.S. House since 1987. The fuck is this? Okay. Hassan in his prime. Damn, I was a child, dude. This is like my first years in California. And yes, that's a real dunk, by the way. Hasn't dunked since. No, I was able to dunk again. Last year. I did that now. My knees would explode. True. Anyway, candidates and their advisors admit that though they've been preparing for this moment for years, they're still struggling to figure it out. They're building outreach programs, blah, 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 great highway. Pelosi had long been quiet about the race, but has become more explicit about her potential preference with time running out before June 2nd. Pelosi has appeared at events with Connie Chan, member of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, has spoken positively about what Chan could do in Congress. Still, a spokesperson for the former speaker points back to a November statement after she announced her retirement that she did not plan to endorse. For her seat to be open is wild for the city. Mayor Dan Lurie told CNN, sitting in the office in City Hall, he won by ousting fellow Democrat in the 2024 race that became its own referendum on whether traditional Democratic governance had failed the city. I don't think we even know quite what to make of it, okay? Scott Wiener has been preparing to make something of it for years. Raised in New Jersey, Wiener lived nearly for 30 years in the Castro, one of the nation's most prominent gay neighborhoods. He started as a lawyer and then made his way into the LGBTQ political activist board of supervisors, San Francisco's equivalent to a city council, to represent a state senate district that overlaps almost entirely with Pelosi's House district. That's the reason why he has unbelievable name recognition. He's been there for the longest time, and that's the reason why he's like putting up insane numbers of like 43% or whatever, now down to 38. Wiener's years of preparations to follow Pelosi were about as subtle as chonkers and oversized seas long. God, Edward, God damn it. Just fucking write, man. Just write. Don't do this. Don't just fucking write what you're gonna write, okay? Wiener acknowledged that the relationship that started out strong had become a little bit strained as he made it clear that he was going to run for her seat this year before her announced retirement, that he wouldn't step aside for her daughter, Christine, now running for Wiener's state Senate seat. That is what it is. Do you see how fucking petty these tyrants are? By the way, like Nancy Pelosi just fucking hates Scott Wiener for that reason alone, because she probably wanted her daughter to take over the fucking lineage. Okay? They want to do dynastic politics. This is a democracy. What the fuck are we talking about? Wiener's the kind of local politician constantly popping up at events back and forth. Yes, in his district in Sacramento, Newsom, who's staying neutral, calls him a bit of a legend up here in terms of his ability to carry bills. One-time rival and now endorser Raphael Mendelman. The reason why Newsom won't fucking openly endorse Wiener is because he's scared of Pelosi, for the record. I mean, you guys don't understand, I don't think. Nancy Pelosi is a towering force in Democratic Party politics, okay? Her experience and her power, her influence goes far beyond the district, okay? Understand this. That there is a reason why people are genuinely worried about like endorsing against her, for example. One of the only competent Democrats, for better or often for worse. Newsom, who's staying neutral, calls him a bit of a legend. One-time rival, now endorser Raphael Mendelman, called him a transit superhero for his work to stop the Muni fare dodgers. But as Mendelman noted in an interview after, there are times when what some see as Wiener's relentlessness comes off as stridency. Wiener gave a practice response to CNN about critics calling him too close to developers, saying developers are the people who build housing, which he says is a pragmatic approach to fighting one of the city's core crises. He says being called establishment means that he has been in office for years, but saying he's been challenging convention all that time. That experience could be especially important in Pelosi's wake, Wiener says, including by fighting for infrastructure money and bringing to Washington the kind of leading role he has had on the state's AI regulations with a Bay Area mentality. People may not know all the details, but they generally understand that Nancy has delivered in a huge way for San Francisco. I'd go so far as to say maybe even AOC's reluctance to endorse might be a Nancy Pelosi thing, partially. That's the level of fucking influence that she has. Bro, Nancy Pelosi from a hospital bed in Germany was able to overthrow AOC's AOC's pick for head of oversight committee, okay? Which she gave to, and she wasn't even in the party at the point. I mean, she wasn't the speaker, obviously, at the point, but she gave that to her other friend by way of seniority, who died shortly after. Anyway, someone Wiener has in mind is not Chan or longshot Mary Hurebiel, but a first-time candidate running on ties to represent AOC, who has had her own tense moments with Pelosi. Shoykat Chakrabarti moved to the city in his 20s and then returned several years ago before launching what also started as a challenge to the former House Speaker. Chakrabarti makes a point of saying that he doesn't take money from corporate real estate or AI interests, but that's largely due to his self-financing from the millions he made during his first stint as tech founding engineer of the financial service company Stripe. Now, is that the real reason? Or do you think the reason is because of his fucking platform? What corporate PAC would spend for Shoykat Chakrabarti when they are busy spending against Shoykat Chakrabarti? Like, they're literally spending against him. His campaign has developed a custom of offering full-time living wage jobs to anyone who's offered to be a committed volunteer, giving him a sprawling office in a former bank filled with payroll of upward 200 field organizers, door knockers, and phone bankers. Yeah. Only this would be spun in a negative, by the way, that he is unbelievably wealthy and therefore has the capacity to pay fucking full-time staff, but that's a bad thing. Instead of penny pinching, instead of fucking running an aesthetic operation and refusing to pay his fucking volunteers, he's literally paying them. What do you want? Like, he is running the most ethical way that he possibly could, and they're using that. They're spinning it as a negative. He has lent his campaign $4.8 million so far, according to campaign finance records. Chakrabarti spent more per district voter than billionaire Tom Steyer spending per voter statewide in his governor's race. Chakrabarti's pegged much of his campaign to his connection to a politician from the other side of the country, Ocasio-Cortez. He was her campaign manager and first chief of staff, and claims credit for a sizable chunk of her early success, including, he says, authoring the Green New Deal. At one forum, he referenced a time when I was in Congress. Chakrabarti said he's also inspired by how U.S. Representative Ro Khanna of California whipped up media attention on Jeffrey Epstein to help get a nearly unanimous vote for the bill, calling for the release of the Justice Department files on convicted sex offenders. You can pick those fights. And by picking those fights, you build power outside of D.C., Chakrabarti told CNN. And when you use that lever of power outside as leverage on the inside to get stuff done. And that's sort of what I saw AOC do in her first term. What Chakrabarti tends to leave out is why he stopped working for AOC after only about 7 months in what has become a minor obsession in San Francisco political circles, inspired a car that follows him to some events with a sign reading, AOC fired Shoykat. Chakrabarti became infamous for tweeting attacks on Ocasio-Cortez's new House colleagues, including scoffing at those who called Pelosi a legislative mastermind. One person, yeah. Does that sound good or bad? Does that sound like the energy that we need right now? Or does that sound like a guy who is too hot-headed too invested in the corporate Democrat wing of the party, like the fucking Gary Tans of the world? What do we think, guys? Perhaps these are the types of reasons why I like him. Have you thought about that? One person familiar with what happens to the freshman congresswoman struggled with whether to fire him, but accepted his resignation when he offered. Chakrabarti told CNN it was a planned transition out from before the tweets because he had a daughter on the way, but did not dispute that she accepted his resignation. Chakrabarti is conspicuously lacking endorsement from his former boss. The same person familiar with what happens said Ocasio-Cortez wasn't pleased to find out from media reports that Chakrabarti was running instead of from him directly. He confirmed to CNN that he hadn't told her in advance, explaining that he initially entered the race to challenge Pelosi before she announced her retirement, and that I didn't want her to be in a weird spot where she's asked about, someone stepping up against Nancy Pelosi. A spokesperson for Ocasio-Cortez did not respond to several requests for comment about the circumstances of Chakrabarti's departure or why she isn't backing him. Asked last month by a reporter from Drop Site News why she wasn't backing him, she spoke about the role she's trying to play more broadly in primaries and never mentioned his name. Beyond Ocasio-Cortez directly, Chakrabarti says he's channeling the spirit of the work he did with the group Justice Democrat supporter in her first race to create his own network of like-minded House candidates around the country. Just last week, he had half a dozen of these candidates fly in from around the country to join his rally, headlined by Hassan Piker, the streamer who's become a focal point of the Democratic fights over his criticism of Israel. Piker's been criticized for saying U.S. deserved 9/11, a comment he has since regretted making, and saying Hamas was 1,000 times better than Israel, a comment I do not regret making, a comment that I think is 100% true. Anyway, while Chakrabarti says he's often trying to localize the national issues on his mind, for example, saying the high cost of living in the city could be tackled by getting universal health care, or money being spent in the war in Iran should be redirected to fixing the highways and public transit, several prominent San Francisco politicians told CNN that he remains so unknown that they were unsure how to pronounce his name. Tell them that my name is pronounced Shoykat, and they should learn that. They can ask me. I'm very friendly about it, he said. And then we have Connie Chan. Chan is not running so much to change the party as to recenter on its roots. Born in Hong Kong, raised in Taiwan, she talks about so-called sanctuary city protections and other work for immigrants, and she refers constantly to the union support she's racked up. It's a moment for us to decide. Is it going to someone like me, who's been a first-generation immigrant and Chinese-American woman and has been endorsed by the working people, the labor movement, or are they going to go with a corporate Democrat that have been bankrolled by a billionaire, or a tech bro that has been helicoptered into San Francisco, Chan told CNN on Wednesday after one of the candidates' community forums in the Woody Hills at Randall Museum. Notice how Shoykat doesn't really attack Connie Chan, by the way, but Connie Chan is fucking daggering Shoykot. Is Lazan pronouncing it right? Yes, dude. Yes. I am pronouncing it right. Yes. Chan said on stage that San Francisco will always be the conscience of the nation and the conscience of Washington, D.C. To her, that means beating back the money supporting Wiener and the money Shoykot is spending on his own campaign. Edward Isaac Dover, and you will see this. We'll see this not just with Edward Isaac Dover, who is a hatchet man for corporate Democrats anyway, but you will see this attitude a lot more frequently in the upcoming primary season, where these guys that would normally directly lean into guys like Scott Wiener will find themselves leaning into at least the more moderate progressive forces in these primaries, Mallory McMorrow as opposed to Haley Stevens, for example, when they realize that the establishment wing in these races have no fucking way of getting out the primaries. I guess in this case, Scott Wiener does have a pretty solid lead on everyone else. But I promise you that they're doing that because they're like anybody but the insurgent wing, okay? Anybody but the anti-Israel guys, anybody but the anti-corporate finance guys, anybody but the people that will center the working class in their policies, in their legislative agenda, in their ideology. Okay, straight up. It's already happening. They will always go for like Warrenites, or however, in certain instances, if there is no, progressive center, Elizabeth Warren will endorse Graham Plattner like she did. Anyway, but for Chan, the bigger factor in the race may lie in a joke she made at the candidate forum. The biggest challenge I face is if I'm elected, I'm not Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. According to an ally who spoke anonymously, sure her thinking, Pelosi's hyper aware of San Francisco's lost a number of prominent female representatives in the recent years, including going from both senators being women from the Bay Area to having both senators be men from Los Angeles. Wiener and Chakrabarty are also both announced their campaigns against Pelosi before a retirement announcement. Plus, Pelosi likes Chan and sees a kindred political player in the kind of coalition she's building. It's no accident, according to the ally who spoke to CNN, that Pelosi has been showing up at some of the events, as Chan, including popping by a DC fundraiser for her last month, with plans to do more. And Chan is already in the endorsement of Adam Schiff. How is this not a fucking way bigger red flag for goddamn San Francisco progressives than anything else? I will never understand it. Okay, this is the reddest of flags, and not the good kind of red flag. We're not talking about the Communist Party of China's flag or the People's Republic of China. We're talking about a different type of red flag, a bad one. Okay, I didn't even see the first time. What did he say? He said W rape tone. Ew. Kyle just posted this 7 minutes ago. Video's not available anymore. They're fueled by their grudge rather than anything else. No, it's not just like a petty grudge. Okay. This is not just a petty grudge. Obviously, if you don't know the guy and you hear that he is like a fucking tech bro with hundreds of millions of dollars, and you've seen like the only way to figure out what he is about is by looking at his like national ambitions, what he has done at the national level, okay? And also the local ones. The problem with a lot of San Francisco voters is they are dialing in on the local and not looking at anything else. And as a matter of fact, they don't even care about anything else. They're only looking at the local, which is fine. I think it's okay to look at obviously his endorsements or his funding initiatives in local races. Of course, it's fucking understandable. Of course, it's important to look at, just like his background, okay? But they don't comprehend what it means that both of his opponents, Connie Chen and Scott Wiener, are either directly getting funding by massive corporate PACs or massive, AI, not AI, sorry, like I think it's crypto for Scott Wiener, if I'm not mistaken, and real estate developers who is uncomfortably close to, or in the case of Connie Chen, institutional Democratic Party in California that has sold us down the river time and time again. And all of these major super PACs are spending against Shoykot. So make that fucking calculation. Be smart. What do you think is going on here? Why do you think they're doing that? The two top vote getters in this race will go all the way to November, and Pelosi is much likely to endorse then. If Chakrabarty is one of the candidates, that could make it more likely that she endorses the other. Yes, Pelosi will. The way I see it is, in the best possible scenario, Shoykot makes it in the top two over Connie Chen, and everybody buries the hatchet, and the San Francisco left works to prop up Shoykot. To be clear, to chat, the local DSA hasn't endorsed anyone. Not is DSA the only leftist Oregon town in a place like San Francisco? Yes, this is also true. I think between Connie and Shoykot, and I'll be very serious about this, I'll be sincere about this, I think Shoykot has a better shot at defeating Wiener as well. Okay? That's the other thing. I'd rather live in San Francisco than LA, though. No, San Francisco is beautiful. San Francisco is absolutely nicer than Los Angeles. It's a beautiful fucking city. Straight up. I totally understand why people are people think it's at the center of everything in their universe, okay? I mean, it's got at least some level of adequate public transit, for example. That is, reason alone. Ray Huang was supposed to debate Bass and Nithya in a televised debate on Wednesday. Nithya and Bass both pulled out, so now it's canceled. Are you fucking serious? They canceled the debate? Bro, that is pissing me the fuck off. I was actually looking forward to see how Ray performs. Oh my God, they literally pulled out because they don't want to fucking be up there with Ray Huang. Oh my God. That's bullshit, dude. That's actually fucking bullshit. Full cap, SF is a dump. LA is 1,000 times nicer and a better city. That's not true. God, California politics is so ass. Did you see the Power Grid article that came out a few weeks ago? The biggest U.S. power grid is under strain from AI and no one is happy. I did not see it, chatter. I'm not going to be looking at it right now. I apologize. Did you have Nithya on your show or am I misremembering? No, I had Ray on one time. I'm planning to have Nithya on as well. And I'm planning to have Ray on again. I just haven't. I purposely didn't put my thumb on the scale because it was, I thought that DSALA would be able to handle it internally. They refused to endorse either of the candidates. I believe Nithya got 54% of the vote, but look, I've openly told you I like Ray. I think Ray Ray Huang is a great candidate. But unfortunately, she's green and she hasn't been able to secure the name recognition necessary to get up to get a decent poll position. Nithya, on the other hand, has viability, but her media appearances have been horrible. And also, there's a bunch of stuff that I am skeptical of, which I was going to ask her directly when I have her on. Specifically saying that she was in favor of defunding the police, and then once elected into office, she did end up signing on with police funding. This is not like, there's also a lot of ultras in Los Angeles too, in LA politics. There's a lot of Cinemarxisms in LA politics, including Cinemarxism himself at the time when he did live in LA, who will treat DSA LA endorsed candidates like they are literally the great Satan themselves if they sidestep away from any of their promises, even marginally. And yeah, people who pay attention to LA politics. Yeah, I pay attention to LA politics too. Okay, calm down. Like Nithya has done a lot of good work with homelessness in the city. Can we both at least agree on that? It's probably her only strong suit, and it's something that you care about quite a bit, right? But this is also true. Nithya was endorsed by Democrats for Israel. I know. You're telling me shit that I know already. That's what I'm saying. That is the reason for concern, okay? Brett is not the enemy, man. Come on. No, I don't think Cinemarxism is my enemy at all. What the fuck are you talking about? I've literally worked with him directly. He's done cam op work for me in the past. I can have reasonable disagreements with comrades, okay? It's normal. Shut the fuck up. It doesn't mean anything beyond that. Jesus Christ, some of you fucking babies. Anyway. Yeah. Regardless, though, there is definitely, and it's not just Cinemarxism, there's definitely a lot of people in LA politics that will literally be like, oh, you are Satan incarnate if you in any way, shape, or form have made horrible decisions. even if like the rest of your policies are on board, and the rest of your policies are solid. New poll, Pro Nithya Abundance Network Growth Machine Fund. Bass stalled out with a ceiling. Spencer Pratt growing in second place position. Nithya Rahman in third, but also winning in the runoff while Pratt gets thumped. I mean, I don't think... yeah, there's still a shit ton of undecided people. To be fair, DSALA has a bad track record. Yes, stop. I don't care. By the way, yeah, Nithya endorsed Bass before running. I know. And Nithya also came out of nowhere and decided to run out of nowhere. That's also true. It was literally a week after I had Ray on my broadcast. But I didn't want to like, again, like I said, I didn't want to put my thumb on the scale at all to see where things went. And, you know, I'm not exactly very confident in Nithya at all, although polls still show her as like, if the situation was that like Ray Huang was in striking distance, if she was in double digits alongside Nithya Rahman, like I would lean into that. Okay. Are you the kingmaker of LA politics? No, I'm not. I'm just a fucking random dickhead who happens to live here. Okay? You can't trust LA DSA because they're dominated by DSA right. DSA right is literally the Zoran caucus. What are you talking about? Am I wrong about this? Okay. DSA right caucuses are the caucuses that got fucking Zoran. They were the ones who were really unbelievably on board with Zoran. That's just the caucus drama everywhere in every fucking DSA. Every local DSA org has its own seasoning. Yes, DSA right means electoralists and sometimes even liberals. But DSA LA is not the same as DSA New York. I know that. Okay, just stop. I know. It's a sore subject for me personally because I feel like it's my own personal failing that I haven't done enough work with DSA Los Angeles because I'm literally. It's like there's a Turkish saying. A tailor can't mend his own. A tailor can't sew his own clothes or something like that. Where it always feels like I'm so busy fucking running around the country or even running around the world that I don't do enough local stuff here. The shoemaker's son has no shoes. The cobbler's kids have no shoes. Okay, that's even better. I'm going to work on that. But yeah, this is bullshit for the record. Second time Bass and Nithya canceled a public debate with Ray. They're afraid of sharing a stage with someone who has genuine convictions, not beholden to money and power. Zoran was demonized as a terrorist, won't work with Ray. So she's impractical. Oh, brother, a man calls himself a suit guy. Now he's coming up with suit analogies. Yeah, all right. We've done so many hyper-local stories today. Holy shit. This has been the first 2 hours have just been California politics and how absolute dog water it is. Probably the most devastating part of you know, my political commentary is how horrible California politics is. We're moving on from that. Okay. And we're getting into situation monitoring. We're going from hyper local to international, folks. Can Ray Huang open the Strait of Hormuz? Yes. As a DSALA member, fuck this whole ass fuck shit. Yeah, there's look, just remember, everyone's doing their best, and so is DSALA, okay? Thank you for keeping San Francisco in the rotation. I know.
Trump's rejection.
Give the dog to a loving home, dumbass. My dog, Kaya, to a loving home. There's literally not a single person on this planet who can take better care of this dog. She's already in a loving home, you fucking jackass. The dog. It's always funny when these guys say this shit because Kaya literally lives a better life than you do. Okay? She lives a better life than you do. She gets to hang out with her friends in the morning, run around and play at the gym, or go to the park twice a day. She has the best food. Sleeps all day in a loving home and cuddles with me in bed at night. It's ridiculous. She touches more grass than you. She eats better food than you. She lives a much better life than you do. Okay? Yeah, someone should take her away from me and put her in a fucking kill shelter, right? That'll definitely fix her life. Yes, but if you considered I love to watch fascists and I'm cattle who doesn't think for myself, checkmate, libtard. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of LSF losers in here today. Wait, why? Why? What happened? New LSF controversy? Does LSF even exist any longer? 2 posts I saw on front page. LSF is back on their bullshit. They're doing politics again. Hell yeah. Did they realize that they can't be... Did they realize that there's too much fuck Hassan motion right now in mainstream media that they don't want to give up on that? They had to bring it back. They had to bring back the fuck Hassan drama. I thought Hassan drama was banned off LSF. I haven't heard of LSF in a minute. All right, let's monitor the situation. Yeah, I got bigger ops to worry about, like the nation state of Israel or Fox News. It's the second LSF, seemingly. Wait, they built a new LSF? Jesus Christ. God, that fucking desperation. These dudes will never let up. XUC brought up Collargate again. Dead end streamer. Oh, nice. What happened? Did someone bring up? Did someone bring up that he's a fucking degenerate gambling addict? And for $100 million, he sold out his own audience to a crypto casino. And then immediately he probably pivoted back to fuck Hassan. I suspect that's usually what happens. Anytime someone's like, people are fucking dying and you're never getting healthcare. Okay. All right.